Howdy folks, welcome to another episode of Paper Gaming News, where we cover paper games, paper computer games, and anything from the universe of paper computer games. You'll see which category each item is at the bottom, so let's get to it. There's a new YouTuber who seems to be new to the paper gaming scene. He's called Paper Journal Games. He takes journal books or sort of notebooks and fills them with paper games. And these seem to be classic paper games like of the IPGS or Keiko KT variety, where you have to play with a controller. So far he's been making a lot of games. I'll point out some of the most recent ones. He's made one that's called Invasion. I think it seems to be like a zombie invasion thing, but it's got a 2-player mode. Then he's also got a Spider-Man game, which is sort of like a fighting game. So check that out, link in the description below. Ever since the Sonic activist has been making PCG consoles, adapting the paper games tradition of paper consoles to the paper computer game series, that trend seems to have been picked up because Angry KP Official has created another PCG console. This one is called the PCG Hand, and it looks a lot like the Wiimote, except obviously it is for playing paper computer games, not for playing actual video games. And it looks like you stick the cartridge straight into the controller itself, which is pretty cool. It features the hashtag PCG2020, which was started by the Sonic activist, which was pretty cool. And yeah. FlameSpot has released a new paper game. This is called The Grand Joust. And The Grand Joust is a jousting paper game. It is, it's got a combat system which is made to simulate a joust, where, two people ride horses at each other with sort of a long lance and try to, sort of stab each other. And so in The Grand Joust, what he's basically trying to do is he sets up a combat system, and that is to set up for the next thing, because at the end of the video he reveals a whole story segment which reveals some of the backstory to the Grand Joust, and that sets up for FlameSpot's first full paper computer game, the Grand Joust story mode. So this is going to be using some of the things set up in the Grand Joust, but with a story attached to it, and that'll be his first official paper computer game, even though his OP RPG series is more of a paper game, even though I've been categorizing it as a paper computer game here on PCG News, just because it originated in my PCG contest and it had tutorial bot in it and all that stuff. So for that reason, I've been categorizing it as a paper computer game, though the gameplay was more like an RPG or a paper game. So it'll be interesting to see how this game is, what characteristics of a PCG it takes on. So I am definitely looking forward to that. This story stuff being set up sounds pretty cool. It follows the story of this guy named Lancer who moves from place to place, but some people see him as a threat. If you want to read the full backstory, that is on his video, link in the description below. Now, Chris has finally released an early version, alpha, or I'd say this is an alpha version of his PCG engine. This is a real game engine. PCG has a double meaning. It stands for both paper computer game and point and click, because this is not really a paper computer game, but it's to make PCG computer games. Computer PCGs. Now, this can be a little bit complicated to use to make games because it uses HTML, which is the language we use to basically write websites. And not everyone knows that. I don't know it. However, it's not that difficult to figure it out. If you try, you mess around with it a little bit, you can pretty quickly figure out how to use it with Chris's instructions. I was able to use it to make a game, even though I don't know HTML. And so you can make your own paper computer games with this system. Chris will be updating it and releasing more content to make it easier and easier as time goes on to make more games with it. And in the meantime, I have released a first game in it. It's tiny, it's minuscule because there aren't that many features yet. There's not a whole lot you can do, but I did the best I could to make a quick little game with it. You should be able to beat the game in like 30 seconds, but hey, it's a game. It's that game is called Schmo's Escape. You play as Schmo. You are stuck in a jail cell and you don't remember why, so you have to find the key. That is the challenge. You have to find the key. So you can play that at the link in the description if you like. Angry KP Official has made another PCG console. I know I just reported on the PCG hand, but now he's got another one. And look, folks, this is the most logical PCG console ever made. Now, that does not mean it's the best one ever made. That this is not, putting down all the other PCG consoles. However, this one does make a lot of sense because this is the PCG keyboard, and it makes a lot of sense for paper computer games to be played on a paper computer. Like, why did I never think of that? This is brilliant. Basically that's all it is. It's you got a paper keyboard, you got a paper mouse. It's got tutorial bot on it, of course, because that seems to be traditional now for all the PCG consoles to have tutorial bot on them, like somewhere, I guess, which is really awesome. And that is the PCG keyboard. I don't know if there are any games specifically for it, but I do think you can play any PCG on it. So that is pretty cool. Thank you, Angry KP Official. Detune Paper has made a sequel to his paper computer game Swamp Survival, which he made a couple of years ago, and I played here on this channel. The original game, you can't see the video of it anymore because that was on his old channel. In the original Swamp Survival, you find yourself in a swamp and you have to survive, making use of whatever resources you find around you, despite any enemies. In this new sequel, first of all, it features a crafting system, and other than that, it seems to be sort of a simpler game. You have to work your way up. It's more of a side-scrolling kind of view. You have to work your way to the top of the stage and finish the slime boss. Man, I never finished my playthrough of the original Swamp Survival. I should finish that, now that you mention it. Monkey123442, also known as Darkshade206 on Instagram, has created a new PCG, which he sent me pictures of. This PCG is called Mass Destruction, and I will just read you the description here. You're a young warrior, born from the dusts of space, the poorest of towns. You will make your way through a journey in space in order to save planets from Ganglula, an evil emperor getting away with crimes. You and your team will make your way through troops and armies, and then finally, an emperor. So that looks pretty darn cool. I am digging the art, so hopefully that will get a release sometime soon. YouTuber Star Wars Nerd is back with a new paper game after a long time of being absent from the community. His new game has you play as a Padawan trying to become a Jedi, but there are evil forces trying to stop you from achieving that goal. So there is a battle system in the game, and there's some, sort of exploration of the world. So last week's trivia question was, an ancient Umbrian is known in modern times as Lily. Who gave her that name? Now, only one person tried to answer that. That person is Salmon the Fish PCG, and here is his answer. He says, wow, the story behind the Umbrian is very well done, and there was pages full of details. That was on the PCG wiki, and the article is written by Pierre, so credit to her. Here's what I found after reading a couple of minutes. Quote, one notable Umbrier, however, is Seth of the tribe of Adam, creator of Lilium. It said that he named her after a lily, so I'll see if I got this one. And he comments that the Umbrians are like Hallows from Bleach, the anime, because they look very similar, and they also died to damage from their mask. I don't know if she watched Bleach when she created it. There is also a lot of similar creatures in different media, like the Umbrals from Dungeons and Dragons. In any event, this is one of two answers I would have accepted. So you are correct, Salmon the Fish, way to go. yes, Seth gave her the name of Lilium, which is not exactly Lily. Because you see, Seth was the Umbrier to bring her back in that time, the first one to bring her back. But she's had many names over the centuries as she was brought back by many different Umbriers, who, the spellcasters who revive Umbrians. And the one who brought her back in modern times, like in the 90s, his name is Dave. Dave was a programmer working for the company. He was a programmer, so he brought her back a little bit different. He gave her a digital mask through his programming skills instead of a physical mask. So he made her into a bit of a different Umbrian, and he gave her the name Lily. So both of those answers are pretty darn close. The name he gave her is obviously inspired by her original name, Lilium, but he modernized it a little bit. So either of those two answers is perfectly acceptable. So Salmon the Fish is our winner for last week. Now for tonight's trivia question.
This week's question is, who am I and what PCG am I from? You may use the PCG Wiki to learn the answers, but be warned, that will not make it easy. Comment below with your answers, and if you are correct, we will put your comment on the screen in the next PCG news.